Jim,
Hello, Peter.
so you chose this picture of this. Well, describe to me what you see in this image.
This is a flower. I think it's a tulip,
Uh-huh.
and a very close-in shot of
Right.
some of the features.
It's a close-in shot of a tulip. And tell me what it was that interested you, or was it just visual, or was it something else, a memory? I don't know what.
Yeah. See, I've been so I've long enjoyed photography, and one of my subjects. I graduated to using my iPhone for my camera because it's so easy to take a picture and then post it and share it. So
Right.
been doing that in recent years. And one of my main subjects has been flowers,
Right.
where I just zoom in really closely and just find the beauty is just startling.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, given that theme that I've been following, I saw this picture and I said, "Oh, look, that's like one of the pictures I've taken."
Yeah. So this theme of flowers and beauty, zooming in close to see the, what did you call them? The details or
Yeah, the details. I mean, I'm sure they have there's stamens, and I don't know I can't remember the terminology for the
right.
parts of the flower.
So just out of curiosity, how did photography of flowers in particular grab you? Like why
Well,
not
so
plants?
photography, I've 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 just enjoyed trying to capture, have some kind of artistic element to my life, or
Mm-hmm.
and so seeing things in a particular way, and then so photography has been kind of a longer theme, and then the flowers, I think. Well, so my mom is an artist,
Oh right.
and she is big on color, and so I've heard about aspects of art and color growing up my whole life, and
Mm-hmm.
then so that's I think that's part of it. But then I'm just kind of amazed by the color and just the natural elements of what would you call it? This is just nature, right? This is just kind of you know miraculous and amazing.
Right.
So and then just walking around was easy to do, so it was easy to take pictures. And
So I'm gonna ask you to do some kind of wacky sounding things, but I'm gonna ask you to say what you were just saying about your amazement about the natural beauty, and as if you're talking right to this plant. So say, tulip plant. I want to say a couple things or whatever.
so tulip plant, you are amazing, and I love the I love your parts and the detail and the kind of miraculous design
Hmm.
of yourself, of your flower, and the color, the striking color and the transition. I'm looking at your the transition from the white going out to the pink,
Right.
and just kind of that's just amazing. You are incredible. And then I know it. You're just out to attract a bee so that you can share. I can see all that pollen you're trying to share,
Uh huh.
and so you are doing a really good job of attracting attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope a little bug gets in there and gets pollen on him, and then takes it to someone else that you want to share it with.
Right. Yeah. So what part of the plant stands out, or what part of this photo actually stands out the most to you? Is it the color or the pollen or the stamen or the transition?
I think it's the transition of the from the white to the pink.
Okay, so another wacky question. I'm going to ask you to speak as if you are that transition from the white to the pink. So I am.
Wow. So I am a transition from white to pink, and it is.
I am.
I am. I gradually turn over myself from white to pink
Hmm.
in an extremely subtle and detailed way.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of a one, what would you call it? A dramatic change. It's a very gradual change.
I am a very gradual.
I am a very gradual change that's um, yeah, I don't know what else to say about that.
So you're not a dramatic change, you're a gradual change from white to
Yeah,
pink. Is that right?
yeah.
So tell me about a little bit more about yourself as this transition. Like, what's the transition about? Like, why didn't you just stay white, or why not have a dramatic change? I don't know. Like, just say more about why you're this, how you're this way as this
Yeah,
transition.
this is really cool. Now I'm so let's see. Over my life, I've wanted to learn new things, and I've wanted to change my ways, improve myself, or stop certain things. And I think what this is representing, maybe, is how change. This is reflective of how change actually seems to happen. It's not how I want change to happen. I want change to be more
Mm,
light switch. I just want to change and
mm,
either know something new or stop something bad or develop a new outlook. And this is kind of looking like change actually happens. That
mm.
it's gradual. It's kind of imperceptible how it happens,
Cool. So
and it's truthful. That's the way change actually happens. But I often don't recognize that and get frustrated and want things faster.
right.
And
So that's you as Jim talking about transition, but now I want you to go back into talking as if you are that transition and say something like you just said, which is, I am the way change actually happens. So have that, own that statement, and be that transition again.
so let's see. I'm transitioning from one state to another,
Mm-hmm.
and change is imperceptibly gradual.
I am
But I am.
change, that is.
So I'm the change. So
Yep,
I'm the transition.
yep.
I'm the transition from one state to another,
Mm-hmm.
and I am gradual and subtle and slow and piece particle by particle. And
Mm.
I'm not one dramatic change from one state to another state.
Mm-hmm.
And one where an area where I really learned about this was learning Spanish, where I realized, wow, it just takes a lot of it's a very gradual
Uh,
incorporation of a new word, where the white might be not knowing the word, and then the pink is where I know the word.
right.
And this transition, I'm a gradual process.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in having you just, because I thought a really powerful statement you said was, I'm the way change actually happens. So I want you to speak as if that again, as if you really are talking, like, actually, let's do this. Let's have you as the transition talk back to Jim about change.
So, Jim, change is gradual.
I am change, and what I want you to know about change, whatever.
So, I am change, where my yellow represents one state and my pink is another state, and I'm in I'm the transition between one state and another state, and I happen gradually and imperceptibly and slowly and with lots of teeny little steps.
Mm,
And not the way you would like it to be, Jim, which is one state to another immediately as you want it. It's
Mm-hmm.
more of a gradual process.
Mm-hmm. And how's it for Jim to hear that? Jim, you talk back to the transition, the change.
Well, let's see. So, wow, thank you, transition. That is really, thank you for reminding me
Huh.
of how change actually happens. And thank you for showing me very clearly how transition happens and change actually happens and how it's inexact and imperceptible, and then it happens.
Hmm.
So thank you for showing me that.
So you're thanking that, but you also said reminding you, like it sounds like you already knew that, but
Yeah, so I know that, but I constantly forget it,
uh-huh.
and get impatient, and so being impatient with myself, like I want to be different, and I it doesn't happen at the pace I want it to happen. It happens
Right.
more gradually, and so this is a reminder of that in a whole new way of reminder. I've never been reminded in this way
by a tulip.
by a tulip.
So I'm imagining that some of the things you said as the tulip transition um, are like some of the things in your own life. So does any of what you said as that transition fit for? I mean, you already mentioned this a bit, but can you be a little more specific about the parts that you said as the transitioning tulip color, yellow, white to pink? How does that fit for your own life?
Well, so I think there's things that I want to change, and so that includes a couple categories. One would be stopping things that I do that I don't want to do,
Uh-huh.
that I don't want to be doing,
Right.
and that might be how I interact with people,
Right.
and I want to change that. And so when I can't change that quickly enough, it's I don't know, it's a pain. I want it to be faster, and I want it to be clearer, and I don't think I trust transitional change.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm thinking there's new skills, like for example, I'm looking into being a legal court interpreter, right? So
Right.
that would involve absorbing a huge amount of new information, and I want it to be in my head already, but I could see a transition from where I am right now to a state where I could pass the exams, which would be a new state of having a lot more knowledge in my head, and
Mm-hmm. So
so
there
that
are
would be kind of a professional development transition.
right. So there are both personal and professional connections, right, that you can
Yeah.
make to that. So when you were talking back to the tulip transition, um, you were saying thank you. So what's helpful about what the tulip told you today? How is that helpful?
I think it's helpful to get a visual reminder or a visual illustration
Mm.
of how transition happens, how change happens. I don't think I've ever seen this kind of representation of
Yeah.
that reality in this way. I've never seen it visually represented so nicely.
Right. It is so clear too. It's so clear that it's not, as you said, dramatic change, right? Like it's this blending. You can't even see where that
Yeah.
transition actually happens in the plant. So interesting.
Right, and and if we look right at that line,
Yeah.
so you can look at one side, or you look at white side, and then you look at the pink side, and you can kind of see the gradual transition. But if you were to look even closer at the transition section,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it would be really you'd see so much more of the mixture of
Yeah.
old state and new state.
Right. So it was helpful that it was a visual because because it's helpful to see. What else was helpful about that understanding of change or transition?
Well, I think it's just a visual reinforcement. If you'd asked me before this conversation, hey, how would you visually represent a change in state
Mm-hmm.
from one state to another of either something you want to gain or a thing you want to stop or something you want to learn? I don't know if I would have known how to illustrate that visually.
Right.
I think I know that on some other levels, like I said, like learning Spanish. That's like, oh yeah, like learning Spanish. It takes me multiple times of reinforcement of
Right.
a new thing. But this is like, oh look, it's like a visual.
How about at an emotional level? Like, does this change the way you feel about change, or did you feel something about this understanding of change that's different than you were feeling prior to having this conversation with a tulip?
Yeah, can't believe I'm talking to a tulip here.
Tell the tulip one more thing that was helpful from an emotional level about what you learned from it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that comes up is just gratitude for showing me in a new way something that's so important. Like the one, like I'm learning the ukulele, right? I'm learning music, and that process. Thank you. It feels it's nice to be reminded and reassured that transition can happen,
Mm.
and thanks for showing me. So, how do I feel about that? I feel reassured. I feel
Yeah.
it's a little calming and settling. Like, wow, that's okay. Okay, I can be patient and gradual, and trusting that the transition will happen. The transition I'm trying to make happen will happen, and I have to be patient. And so it's nice to be. It's reassuring and comforting.
Hmm. That's nice.
Wow.
Okay.